Hello, and I am in Nizhny Novgorod, and in this video I would like just to show you surroundings and etc. In general, I can say that I really love Nizhny Novgorod, and I guess it is like on the third place of my top cities after Moscow and St. Petersburg, because in my opinion it is even better than Kazan. But maybe I cannot discuss very honestly about Kazan, as I wasn't in the city area all the time during my visit to Kazan, so that is, but still in my opinion it's more cool here. Nizhny Novgorod is a million-plus city, located not far from the capital, by Russian standards. The city is rich in history. It was founded in 1221. Nizhny Novgorod could well become the Russian capital. Judging by chronicle sources, the boyars suggested to Ivan the Terrible move the capital from Moscow to Nizhny Novgorod. Peter I celebrated his 50th birthday in Nizhny Novgorod, having stayed here during a military campaign. They say that the king was pleased with the city and its inhabitants. But Catherine II didn't like the city so much that she ordered its redevelopment. The Empress wanted to make the city more European style. In one of the letters she wrote, "This city is in a situation beautiful but disgusting in structure." In 1834, Nicholas I personally visited the Volga capital. However, his first impression of the city was negative. He said, "Nature did everything to decorate the city, and people did everything to spoil it." During his first visit and then his second, in 1836, Nicholas I gave a total of more than 80 specific instructions on the reconstruction and improvement of Nizhny Novgorod, its streets, houses, and public buildings. The improvement of the city wasn't limited only to the construction of roads, passages, and the external beauty of buildings. The construction of the Nizhny Novgorod water pipeline began, and in 1847 it began to function. This turned out to be the second water supply system in Russia after Moscow. Thus, water supply system appeared in Nizhny Novgorod even earlier than, for example, in the capital of the empire, St. Petersburg. This place where I'm recording now is called Strelka, and Strelka means the confluence of two great and the most famous Russian rivers, Oka and Volga. And as you can see, the weather today probably is not great, but at least it is not so windy, because sometimes, especially on the embankment, it can be really windy. And from this side of the city, there is a beautiful view on Nizhniy Kremlin, which I show you later. But unfortunately, because the weather today, as you can see, is really very grey, it is not really very beautiful on the video. The confluence of Oka and Volga is the main natural attraction of the city. During Soviet times, this was the largest cargo port in the country, but then everything fell into disrepair. In 2018, a stadium was built on Strelka embankment for the World Cup, and 3 years later, for the 800th anniversary of Nizhny Novgorod, Strelka was landscaped. Now there is an excellent walking area and playgrounds. Here you can also visit an exhibition or attend a concert. Since the 16th century, Strelka has been the main port of Nizhny Novgorod. It was more convenient to moor here and unload and load than at the opposite high bank on which the Kremlin stands. The annual aeronautical festival, Volga Fiesta, was held in Nizhny Novgorod and its region. Organizers call it one of the largest aeronautical events in the country. This year, the festival brought together participants from different regions of Russia and Belarus. This festival is already becoming the hallmark of the city. Many people predict the days of their trip to the flights of hot air balloons in Nizhny Novgorod sky. The Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin was built at the beginning of the 16th century. No one succeeded in taking this fortress. The defensive structure with 13 towers was built by Russian craftsmen with the participation of the Italian architect Pyotr Frязin. It is the second largest surviving Kremlin in Russia. The height difference at the walls of the Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin is more than 80 meters. Their height ranges from 12 to 20 meters. Their thickness is 5 meters, and their total length is more than 2,000 meters. The Kremlin has another unique feature. You can walk along all its walls without entering the towers. There is no such facility anywhere else in Russia. The Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin is located on the high bank of the Volga. On its territory there is one of the most popular observation platforms in the city with awesome views. We came to Nizhny Novgorod Fair, and it is like the historical district. It is like on the Strelka area. And in the past there was like the largest fair of the Russian Empire, and today is like the city day. So I will show you different places where you can buy souvenirs here and etc. Petersburg is the head, Moscow is the heart, and Nizhny Novgorod is the pocket of Russia. This 19th century proverb arose because it was at this time that the fair was moved to Nizhny Novgorod. Initially, the fair wasn't in Nizhny Novgorod itself, but at the Makarevsky monastery. This is about 100 kilometers down the Volga. The Nizhgorodskaya fair was a very profitable event and a very large one. During its time, a whole fair town was built with its own transport and streets. The fair in Nizhny Novgorod was even called the Eighth Wonder of the World. Every year, the largest trades of the Russian Empire were held here, which attracted merchants not only from all over Russia, but also from other countries. The Nizhny Novgorod Fair had a shopping mall, a parade square, and more than 2,500 trading stalls. This building is used as an exhibition hall and reminds me of GUM. A GUM is a large historical department store in the center of Moscow. You can watch my video about GUM. The link will be in the description box. We came to Gorky Childhood Museum. Gorky is our Russian writer. It's kind of famous one, but I think most people usually read his books when they at the school, because in my opinion it is not still this author which you will read after graduating from the school, so just our school program. And so I'm really impressed with the house because I have just left it, and it is really amazing because the exposition is really very well organized, and I mean everything represents this period of time really good. Maxim Gorky is a pen name. The real name of the author is Alexei Peshkov. This is the house where Maxim Gorky spent several months of his childhood. The house belonged to his grandfather, Vasily Kashirin. His grandfather was a craftsman dyer. On the territory of the museum, there are preserved buildings from that time: a coach house, a dye house, a barn. Gorky arrived in Nizhny Novgorod in 1871, after his father's death. He was 3 years old. Gorky remembered these few months so much that he wrote the story Childhood. The autobiographical story conveys in great detail the events that took place in the writer's childhood, as well as the customs and life of that time. This house museum is a very vivid illustration of the story Childhood. Gorky was from a very poor family. As an adult, he got a job as a journalist, quickly becoming famous in certain circles. He began publishing his stories, met Chekhov, who gently corrected him. Gorky was self-taught and had no education. After the October Revolution, he openly opposed Vladimir Lenin. The Rukavishnikovs, or Rukavishnikovы, as we say in Russian, were one of the most influential families in Nizhny Novgorod in the second half of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Merchants, bankers, owners of factories, they became famous for their enormous wealth and great generosity, and also for their passion for beauty and luxury, which is clearly reflected in the architecture of the buildings they commissioned. It was the first house in the city to have electricity. It also had an elevator. The main house of the estate has 50 rooms. The complex also includes an outbuilding, a service building, a stable building, and a brick fence with a gate. The founder of the Nizhny Novgorod merchant dynasty, the Rukavishnikovs, was of peasant origin and came to Nizhny Novgorod after the Makarevskaya affair was moved there in 1817. One of his sons multiplied the inherited wealth and became one of the most influential merchants in Nizhny Novgorod, if not the most. He was born in 1811 and was equally successful as an industrialist. He became a monopolist in the iron market, a trader, and, as they would say now, an investor. Mikhail Rukavishnikov was considered the main creditor of the Volga region. Almost the majority of local traders came to him to borrow money at interest. I really like the park of the 800th anniversary of Nizhny Novgorod. There is also an observation platform for the city. The park is very unusual in that it is located on steep slopes. Everything here is very well equipped. There are many places to relax and where to sit and watch the sunsets. This place is historical. The history of the embankment, now named after the Soviet scientist Nikolai Fyodorovsky, began about 180 years ago, after Nicholas I visited Nizhny Novgorod, the same Nicholas who began to actively renovate the city. The 800th anniversary park of the city consists of 7 terraces turning into one another.